here you are, John, in your diamond-studded diamond-studded badge holding time. It's John Bonham over the top!
Hey everybody, welcome to the 8th and bonus episode of Over the Top with Chris. I'm Chris. I'm happy that you're taking the time today to join me, and today is September 25th, 2020, the 40th anniversary of the passing of our dear friend John Bonham. Today, for this bonus episode, I wanted to share with you not only the video series, our second video series, starting with the Royal Albert Hall show, but I also wanted to take this time to really just spend some time talking about John and celebrating his life, whether it was the 28th year, 38th year, or in this, the 40th anniversary of his death. So I wanted to start with my thoughts and moving forward on some of your comments that we've been reading and interacting with all week about the passing of John and what John meant to us. And then in the second half, we'll talk about the Royal Albert Hall show. So, if we look back on John Bonham, I mean, for me, I can share that, I remember as a kid, a very young kid, coming home from school on that day in 1980 and coming home and turning the TV on and hearing that John had died. And for me, even at that young age, music, I grew up in an extremely musical influenced household. My dad, Zeppelin, Doors, Hendrix, and my brother Sabbath, Frank Zappa, Rush. I grew up in just outside Toronto during that time. You got beat up if you didn't listen to Rush. But for me, Zeppelin always was and always will be my favorite group. And even then, realizing the impact that the loss of John Bonham would mean not only to me but to the world of music, and it did. It was earth-shattering. It was only 2 years since the passing of Keith Moon, and I think only just a short while until the assassination of John Lennon. So a lot of our musical heroes from that time were passing. And for me, even at such a young age, John's influence on me musically had a very strong hold on me. And in a couple of short years, I decided I wanted to play drums and I wanted to pick up a musical instrument, and starting at the age of 10. And that was because of Bonham. Bonham meant that much to me, and he was still my biggest musical influence. I've since moved on. I still dabble in the drums, but I've been playing guitar and bass for a number of years. But I never forgot what John meant to me, and meant to a lot of us. A lot of your comments all week and a lot of your feedback and a lot of messages to me have been, glowing. I mean, we love Bonzo. Bonzo means everything, and he is the greatest. I know there's always the debates, and everybody with the passing of Neil Peart too as well. Neil in his own right was one of the greatest, if not the greatest too. But Bonzo at that time defined, from his early days through his passing, even more than Keith Moon. And it's no offense to Keith Moon, I love The Who, and Moon is one of the greatest, but Bonzo just left that indelible mark. He left that impact that has never been touched and will never cease since. And even some of the greats today, even Lars Ulrich, one of my favorite drummers, one of the greatest of all time, will tell you that Bonham is still the king. But yeah, reading through some of your feedback and through some of your messages and some of the conversations I've had, we all love John in our own right, and what Bonzo meant and what Zeppelin means to everybody now and then, and what it means to everybody today. And seeing a lot of those comments today, it's been a very sad day. It's been a good day, with work and everything, but coming home and being able to share that with you. So yeah, for me, Bonzo still holds, as much meaning to me, and I still revere him and I still worship him as much as I did even at that age. And, I had made a comment earlier this week about my music teacher really pushing me to be better and really lighting that fire under me. But I'm sure, during my spare periods in high school and extra free time before and after school of going in there and just pounding the crap out of the drum set that they had at school. I'm sure he didn't appreciate the loudness, but I was given the ability to practice and learn. And a lot of my friends, early bands that I was in with people, Zeppelin was everything, right? So being able to have that opportunity to do that at such a young age for me, I'll never forget that. But on this day, wanting to do not only the bonus episode, but just wanting to share with you a lot of those memories. I mean, I could go on; it would take forever for me to list all the memories and all my favorite parts about Bonzo. But I think back to the early days, from when they started off, when Moby Dick, before it was even called Moby Dick, when it was called Pat's Delight. And that morphed into Moby Dick and then into Over the Top, where I got the namesake for our show. It's just Bonzo always got better and he made such an impact on the music, but he was always that driving backbeat. If we look at some of the songs, When the Levee Breaks, In My Time of Dying, A Whole Lot of Love, the list is endless of just songs where, there's so much on the tracks, but the drum track just drives. It's just driving forward because of Bonzo. So I know on a day like today, every year I mark the occasion. I listen to Zeppelin every day, but no more so than this day. But I think today, on the 40th anniversary, we've all taken a lot of extra special time to remember Bonzo. And I want to thank you all for all your feedback and all your commentary based on the early episode we did this week. And especially for the bonus episode. So now as we transition into the bonus episode, it's the second video in our video series. We do talk about bootlegs here, but we also mention there are some video bootlegs out there too as well. So before I get started on that, the Royal Albert Hall, a very well-known show. Most of you probably already know the Royal Albert Hall and you already know what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of history and context that comes with it, and of course the availability of the show. The show is on YouTube. It's everywhere. Everybody knows the show. A lot of the clips I see, people sharing comments, always has videos from the Royal Albert Hall show. But the show was never an official release from Led Zeppelin until the 2003 DVD movie set of How the West Was Won. And when we're looking at that set, you've got the Royal Albert Hall show, you've got the Danish TV Black and White 69 special, you've got a little bit of the Paris 69 show, you've got a little bit of snippets of the Earl's Court show, a little bit of the Seattle 77 show, Nebworth 79. So there's a lot of the intricacies of the videos, and we'll cover all those. Yes, they all are on the internet. But this master copy that I'll be sharing, and I'll be sharing both copies. I'll be sharing the video copy link, and I'll also share the audio copy link too as well. So there is an audio bootleg copy of this too as well that you can get, taken from two different sources, but essentially video and audio. But if we look at the Royal Albert Hall show, if you've never seen it before, or if you've watched it 1,000 times like I have, 1970 was such a transitional time for Led Zeppelin. The show takes place during probably most likely the recording and transitioning of the Led Zeppelin 3 album, but contains no songs from Zeppelin 3 at all. Much like the Montreux Jazz Festival show that I did earlier on in one of the earlier episodes, they opened with We're Gonna Groove. So one of their very sort of opening show numbers in the past used to be Train Kept a Rollin', which then morphed into Communication Breakdown, which then started with We're Gonna Groove. But before I get into the set list and a lot of the songs to listen to, we should take the context of the Royal Albert Hall show. And if we look at 1970 and that transitional period for Zeppelin, personally, I know we always say, oh, if there was a time machine, which concerts would you go back in time and see? And for me, the 77 tour is always my favorite tour, but I always look back and say, if I could go back to see any show, probably during the 70-71 era, because as the transition to the third album, then especially into the fourth album too, with everything, including Stairway, Black Dog, and all the catalog before that, the 70-71 corridor, I don't think Zeppelin was ever better, and they were in, their, the sound quality, the loudness, just the jams, just everything just flowed. And you never knew from night to night what they were going to do, but you could just feel the energy. Even on this show, you can feel the energy coming through the speakers when you listen to it. You can see how in tune they were, but there's a little bit that a lot of people don't know about this, and they may not even suspect this, but the Royal Albert Hall wasn't a place for rock bands. There weren't a lot of rock groups up to that point that had even played the Royal Albert Hall. The Royal Albert Hall was sort of the pinnacle in London or in English music. It was, reserved for kings and queens and royalty and, plays and and thespian and Shakespeare plays. It wasn't a place where musicians of that kind played. So, you know, when you look at 1970, everybody loved Led Zeppelin, and Led Zeppelin from their fans. Their popularity was growing, and it was expanding into bigger and better things, and they were growing as a band and as a unit, and musically too as well. The fans loved Led Zeppelin. The press hated Led Zeppelin, and we're talking press in the UK specifically, and we're also talking the press in the United States. You know, most people were writing negative articles about Led Zeppelin. They didn't have nice things to say about Led Zeppelin, and it's unconscionable to think that that's even a thing in this day and age. But back then, the press and the media hated Led Zeppelin, but the fans loved them. And when we get to the Royal Albert Hall show, you can almost see a nervous energy with the group when they hit the stage, and being able to play at some places iconic as the Royal Albert Hall meant a lot to them. It was documented. You can go back and see transcripts and see them in books and see them in print media about what this exact show in the 1970 Royal Albert Hall show meant to Zeppelin at that point, because they felt they were making it, and they really wanted to make a statement when they went out there and played, more specifically for the fans, but they really wanted to show the media that, hey, screw you guys. You might hate us, but we made it to this venue. We made it to this next show. And I think this show really put them on the map, not only in England where they already were, but I think it really started to break them a little bit in the mainstream. And Zeppelin 3, unfortunately, when it came out, again, loved by the fans, but hated by the press. But it didn't stop them for what they were doing and from what they were building. So if we start and look at the show, I mean, I could sit here and pick out so many specific songs. I think the show opener, We're Gonna Groove, is such a, you know, the energy of the show and the solo and how it starts off is always an incredible show opener, and the energy, and it really gets you going. Some of the other standout songs, you know, obviously the version of Dazed and Confused on there is fantastic. How Many More Times, always been one of my favorite live songs, but they do a killer version of it here. John's Moby Dick solo, there's so many good ones out there, but I would even rate this one as one of the top 5 versions of Pat's Delight / Moby Dick / Over the Top. But this version here is great, and I think one of the amazing things is the video quality on this show was so good. The source of the link where I'm sending you this has got a really good high quality, high def. There's some poorer versions out there, but they were taken from some different sources, but this is a really good video source, and you really get to see a lot of the clarity of the show, despite it being, you know, 50 some odd years old practically. But I mean, I could go on and on about some of these, every song, but in fact, every song is amazing. The show just clocks in at just a little over an hour and a half, but it goes by really fast because it's just one song after the other. Some hidden gems that are on there. Come On Everybody, where Page plays his custom Les Paul that was really used for session work that he had done pre-Yardbirds and pre-Zeppelin, with the Bigsby tremolo on it. Something Else, you know, obviously not written by them, believed by Eddie Cochran, but, you know, was on the BBC triple release CD that they did a few years back. So, you know, we look at some of those hidden gems that are on there, and obviously the show closer, Bring It On Home. I mean, every song is amazing on this one. This is just a fantastic show. And whether, again, it's your first time seeing it, you really need to sit down with a cold beverage or a something to, you know, whet your appetite with, and really sit down and enjoy the show. And whether it's like me, like I said, for the 100th or the 1000th time, every time I watch the show, I'm just incredibly bowled over by their energy, and I'm just blown away by how tight they were as a unit, but that every song just had so much passion and so much drive behind it. And this is one of those shows that is a must listen. I'll put that audio on it, but it is a must watch. So from me to you, I want to thank you again for all the support and all the love that I'm getting, especially for all the episodes. If you haven't checked out the previous episode that I dropped from this week, definitely check it out. But this bonus episode, the second video, the Royal Albert Hall show, is a can't miss. I appreciate all the love and the support. And from me to you guys and to Bonzo, I want to thank you very much for all your support with Over the Top. Enjoy today. Enjoy every day with Led Zeppelin, but more also enjoy this day, September 25th. Bonzo, we love you. Thank you guys. I love all you guys for all the support, and keep that feedback coming. And most of all, please take care of each other, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
You need cooling, woman, I ain't fooling. I'm gonna send you back to school. same. Woman, you need love. I'm gonna give you my love. I'm gonna give you my love. Oh, want a whole lot of love.